Dude, your wife's a total smoke show. The words hung in the smoke from the grill, a little too loud, just friendly enough to pass as a tipsy compliment. I tossed another burger on, trying to ignore the way my gut twisted. It was Steve, of course, the one who always pushed a little too far. Sarah laughed, and that familiar clench settled deeper. Of course, she was radiant. Hell, I'd helped design the damn house we were celebrating. But tonight I was just the guy flipping patties. Watching them, the power suits and flirty smiles, I felt like a contractor crashing a Wall Street cocktail hour. Sarah's eyes found mine across the yard, a brief flash of warmth. Don't worry, she mouthed, that playful wink that used to melt me right down to my boots. I'm saving the best wine for just us. I should have felt reassured I didn't. Sarah wasn't just beautiful, she had this way of lighting up a room, the kind of energy that got her clients, got her promotions. Me, I did solid work, steady, the kind that paid the mortgage on time but never turned heads. Tonight, even in our own damn home, I felt outshined. The rest of the night was a blur. Good food, a few too many beers, folks gushing over the renovation as if Sarah had hammered every nail herself. It was a good party in theory, so why did I have the nagging feeling that somewhere between the exposed brick and the gleaming kitchen countertops, a tiny crack had just widened? I tried to shake it off, blame it on Steve's comment, or an extra whiskey, but the doubt lingered. We cleared up, just the two of us. The house was quiet now, the buzz of the party replaced by an echoing silence. Damn, that was fun, Sarah said, stretching with a yawn. Yeah, I mumbled, trying to match her smile and failing. I knew I should feel proud. Instead, all I could think about was how damn tired I was of playing the role of supportive husband, the guy on the sidelines, the one who always got the leftover wine. That damn phone became my nemesis. Before, it was just a sleek rectangle on the nightstand, a thing for Sarah to swipe emails on while I pretended to sleep. Now it was like a loaded gun, the soft glow of the screen a promise of landmines. It started with those late-night vibrations. I'd jolt awake, heart pounding, and find her already rolling over, fumbling an irritated sorry work thing. But the name? It wasn't someone from her office, not a client I knew. And it was never just once. A second buzz, followed by that sleepy murmur into the pillow. Then there was the night I couldn't take it anymore. I lay rigid, listening to her breathe, the air thick with that cologne I didn't recognize, sharp, spicy, and way too damn bold. It clung to her, even with her back turned to me. The next morning I almost brought it up. The words hovered between us like stale toast crumbs. So, who's the late-night workaholic? But the look in her eyes stopped me. Tired, sure, but also exhilarated. Like she had a secret. That's when the suspicion settled in. A cold lump in my stomach. The text became bolder. I'd sneak a look when she was in the shower, heart pounding in my own damn shower stall. Can't stop thinking about last night. Did they mean what I thought they meant? The worst part was I couldn't talk to anyone. Steve's voice echoed in my head, dude, your wife. I pictured their knowing smirks. And Sarah? She was so bright and bubbly these days, humming as she whipped up those fancy dinners. Was I going to be that guy? The jealous husband, the one accusing his wife when all she was doing was killing it at work, right? But that damn phone wouldn't shut up. And the cologne, oh God, the cologne was everywhere. It was starting to drive me a little insane. Babe, guess what? I'm heading to Chicago this weekend. Huge conference thing, could be amazing for my career. Sarah chirped, popping a cherry tomato in her mouth like it was some kind of prize. There wasn't a cloud in her sky. If only I shared her enthusiasm. Instead, my stomach did that familiar flip-flop thing. That's great, I managed, avoiding her eyes. Chicago? That was way more than some local industry shindig. Later that night, I became an amateur detective. Our closet held few secrets, but tonight it felt like a crime scene. Her side. Overflowing with new stuff, power suits, silky things I'd bet my last dollar she never wore to the office. My side. Rumpled jeans, flannel collecting dust. The message wasn't subtle. Then I found it under the bed, not fully hidden, a suitcase. That sleek leather thing was never for office supplies. I knelt, slowly unzipping it enough to peek in. Dress shoes, men's, not mine. My mind raced, fancy networking event? Bullshit, there was nothing on her company calendar. Not even a hint of Chicago. Invite only, she'd said. A little smirk in her voice. Yeah, more like couples not welcome. I wanted to confront her, demand an explanation, but what was I supposed to say? Honey, I don't like the cut of your new dress, or the suspicious way you leave your phone face down. She'd laugh or worse, get pissed. Easier to close that suitcase, shove it back into the shadows. The neglected fly fishing rod in the corner of the garage mocked me. A quiet weekend by the river suddenly sounded damn appealing. The thing was deep down beneath the anger and the hurt. I knew a fight wouldn't change anything. It would just make me the pathetic husband chasing his wife's shadow. And Chicago, well, that felt inevitable. The gym smelled like rubber and desperate ambition. It was never my scene. Too many mirrors, too many grunts, the kind of place where Sarah actually thrived, all sleek ponytail and fierce determination. But there I was, huffing on a treadmill like a beached whale. Looking good, man, a voice broke through my self-pity. Alex, a grinning giant with biceps bigger than my thighs, slapped my back with a force that nearly sent me flying. We'd struck up a weird gym bro friendship, built on spotting each other and making fun of the guys who did curls in the squat rack. Hey, looking leaner yourself, I managed between gasps. Honestly, a few weeks back, I couldn't even keep up with the old lady power walking next to me. Now there was the tiniest hint of something resembling muscle under this dad bod. Between sets, Alex and I would shoot the breeze. Turns out he was going through a messy divorce. Turns out my wife had a conference in Cabo with her personal trainer, he joked darkly. And there it was, that shared language of betrayal, a little too close for comfort. One sticky afternoon post-workout, the words just slid out, you know, my wife's been super busy too. I tried for casual, failed miserably. Alex squinted at me. Busy? Sarah used to come here all the time. Killer on the Stairmaster. I choked on my protein shake. Used to, Sarah hadn't shown her face around here for months. Those early morning Pilates classes she loved were the rest of the day was a blur. Did Alex know something? Was I an idiot, the last to figure it out? At home, the silence was deafening. Sarah's yoga mat lay abandoned, gathering dust in the corner. Every inch of that perfect house felt like a lie. That night, as I lay in bed next to Sarah, her breathing soft and even, it hit me. It wasn't just about fitness. It was about a whole side of her life, a part of herself she'd stopped sharing with me a long time ago. 2 eggs over easy, bacon extra crispy. Oh hey honey, you made it. Sarah's voice was like a punch to the gut. I'd pictured her at some swanky conference, power breakfasting with executives. Instead, she was perched at our regular Sunday brunch spot, bright as a damn daisy. Worse, she wasn't alone. Across from her, a guy I'd never seen before was grinning, his hand lingering way too long on hers as he passed the syrup. The laughter that rang out should have been familiar, but it cut through me like a stranger's. A wave of nausea washed over me. I couldn't face her. Not with her perfect smile and some random dude playing the adoring boyfriend. I mumbled some crap about forgetting my wallet and stumbled toward the exit, the cheerful platter of brunch fading behind me. Out on the street, I leaned against a brick wall trying to breathe. Alex's words from our last gym session echoed in my head. Mate, a woman like that needs attention. Was this it? Had Sarah found someone who gave her the attention I couldn't? Someone successful, exciting, someone I wasn't? A flashback hit me sharp as a slap. Alex's ex-wife, laughing over cocktails with her tanned personal trainer, while Alex poured his heart out in a sweaty gym. Was I walking the same damn path? Blindsided, clueless, just another pathetic husband about to be left in the dust. Shame and fear twisted in my gut. It wasn't just about Sarah slipping away, it was about me. Had I become so invisible to my own wife that she needed to look elsewhere? You clean up nice. Sarah's approval was a distant memory. Lately, it was more like a quick appraisal than back to her phone. Tonight, I made damn sure she noticed. I stood in front of the mirror, not recognizing the guy staring back. The gym was paying off. There was an edge to my shoulders I hadn't seen in years. I chose the tie she used to love, bright blue, the one she now called a bit much. I polished my shoes till they gleamed. At the office party, the usual crowd milled around the makeshift bar. My tired jokes fell flat until I spotted her. The intern with the bright eyes and a laugh that hadn't been dulled by endless spreadsheets. Her name was... hell, I couldn't remember. Didn't matter. Something shifted in me as I refilled her drink. A recklessness I hadn't felt in a long, long time. She giggled as I told a story, her gaze lingering just that bit too long. Was it my imagination, or was there a flicker of genuine interest? Sarah walked by then. I caught her eye, a silent challenge in my stance. Nice effort, she said, the words more automatic than sincere. It should have hurt, but instead I felt a surge of something dangerous, something defiant. Maybe I wasn't playing the game well, but Christ, it felt good to be a player again. The rest of the night was messy. Another drink, more whispered conversations with the intern. A part of me screamed that this was pathetic, some sad middle-aged cliché. But a darker part, a resentful and wounded part, whispered back, why not? The cab ride home was a blur. Stepping into our silent house, I knew this wasn't a victory. It was a declaration of war. And the worst part was, I wasn't even sure who I was fighting anymore. It started subtly, a discarded fitness magazine on the kitchen counter, a green smoothie replacing her usual latte. Then it was full-blown makeover mode. Out went the sensible pantsuits, in came figure-hugging dresses and heels I was pretty sure she couldn't walk in. New year, new me, she'd shirked, a gleam in her eye I hadn't seen in ages. But this wasn't the same glow of conference promotions or closed deals. It was something sharper, fiercer. There was a restless energy about her, a buzzing beneath the perfect makeup. And damn if it wasn't working. Sarah was turning heads, even mine. I'd catch myself staring a little too long over breakfast, my traitorous mind racing. Was this all because of me? My stupid little flirtation at the office party, my newfound gym obsession. Had it woken the sleeping tiger? Guilt clawed at me. Confronting her about Mr. Brunch had seemed impossible. But my twisted little act of retaliation now felt like throwing gasoline on a fire. She wasn't just getting fit or revamping her wardrobe. It was like she was reinventing herself, becoming some shimmering, untouchable version I barely recognized. Late one night, I snuck a peek at her phone. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't stop myself. No racy texts, just Pinterest boards full of workout inspiration and edgy outfit ideas. Yet that just made it scarier. Sarah didn't need another man, she was becoming her own damn trophy. And me? I was both horrified and strangely fascinated. A dark, selfish voice whispered, fair play. Wasn't this the vibrant, exciting woman I'd been missing? Even if she was miles away from who I thought I knew, the thrill of the unknown was strangely potent. Girls' night, don't wait up, Sarah trilled, a flurry of silk and perfume. Her excitement buzzed in the air, a sharp, nervous energy that set my teeth on edge. The text to Alex was already typed and waiting on my phone. Fancy a pint? I hesitated, finger hovering over the send button. This wasn't some childish revenge scheme anymore, it was, what the hell was it? Sarah's reflection caught my eye as she shimmied into a dress that screamed cocktails, not catching up with the book club. It was my turn for a makeover. The shirt that stretched a little tighter across my chest. A splash of that cologne Sarah used to bury her nose in, now completely ignored. We went through the motions. The kiss on the cheek that felt more like an afterthought than affection. The muttered have funs, laden with unspoken accusations. The door clicked shut behind her, and the silence roared. Alex met me at our usual dive bar, the one with the sticky tables and too loud jukebox. We didn't have to say much. One look, the clink of beer bottles, and the pact was sealed. Tonight, we weren't drowning our sorrows, we were drowning in a defiant, desperate kind of freedom. Each sip brought a hollow satisfaction. Was I becoming the kind of guy who snuck around? I didn't like the answer. But as the night blurred around the edges, I pushed it away. Sarah was playing her game. Tonight I was playing mine. And God help us both, neither of us looked ready to fold. The laughter fell brittle between my teeth. 2 martinis in, and the girls seemed less like friends and more like props for a performance. My eyes drifted towards the bar, drawn to the sleek lines, the promise of danger disguised as sophistication. He was there, not in some shadowy corner but front and center, a spotlight finding him even in the dim hotel lounge. Conference guy, his hand was on my waist now, a touch too possessive, yet the thrill of being wanted, truly wanted, outweighed any discomfort. Then the world tilted. Across the room, a reflection in the mirrored wall caught my eye. Mark, my breath hitched, he was with her, the intern, her fingers brushing his sleeve with a casual intimacy that ripped through me. It should have been a shock, a final blow. But beneath the stab of betrayal, something else stirred. It wasn't sadness or even anger, but a chilling recognition. We'd become grotesque parodies of ourselves, caught in a twisted dance of deception. Mark's gaze locked onto mine. There was no accusation in his eyes, no plea for understanding. Instead, I saw a hardened resolve, a chilling mirror of my own determination. And that's when I knew we were past the point of no return. Alex's voice broke through the haze. You guys okay, another round? He asked, oblivious to the silent war raging across the crowded bar. My hand reached for my untouched drink, the ice already melted. Every instinct said to walk away, to break this ridiculous cycle. But as I touched the rim of the glass, Mark raised his own, a silent toast echoing mine. In that single gesture we made our choice. Tonight there would be no surrender, no retreat. Only the bitter taste of lies we refused to let go of. The front door slammed open like a gunshot. The air thrummed with tension. The once cozy living room now a battleground of shattered illusions. Where the hell have you been? Sarah's voice cracked, the defiance barely masking a tremor. Out, I shoved past her, the word laced with a bitterness I could barely contain. You seem to be the expert on that. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. There were grand speeches in my head, accusations, recriminations. Yet, as we circled each other like wounded predators, the speeches turned into single jagged words. You think I don't know? Sarah's mascara was a warpath down her cheeks. That little intern parading her around. Oh, like you're one to talk. My laugh was harsh, humorless. Mr. Fancy Cocktails, is it? Bet he loved how successful, how independent you were. Hours blurred into a torrent of accusations. Betrayals were laid bare. Trust reduced to dust. Every success, every insecurity was a weapon. We were experts at inflicting wounds we'd nursed for months. Then, somewhere between the sobbed insults and the silence, exhaustion seeped in. We stood in the wreckage of our carefully built home. Two strangers linked only by the shared misery we'd created. I knew you'd never be enough, Sarah whispered, but it lacked venom. It was just an observation. My anger bled out, leaving a hollow ache. Don't you dare, I started, but the fight was gone. Don't pretend it's all my fault. And in that silence between the tear tracks and the empty bottles, a terrible realization dawned. We weren't fighting for our marriage anymore, not even fighting to win. This was about mutually assured destruction, about proving we could hurt each other as deeply as we'd hurt ourselves. Sunlight sliced through the blinds, a harsh accusation in the silent house. There was no dramatic hangover, just a bone-deep weariness that mimicked the ache in my chest. I expected to feel something, rage, triumph, anything. Instead, there was just a numb emptiness. The scent of coffee usually filled the kitchen, a little ritual of normalcy. Today the countertop gleamed spotless and cold. Half-finished mugs sat on the table, remnants of a battle that felt like a lifetime ago. Upstairs, a single suitcase lay on the bed, zipper yawning open. Not the dramatic sweep of clothes flung in fury that I'd imagined, but a calculated selection. Sarah always was efficient, even in leaving. I heard the click of heels on the hardwood, the final twist of the key in the lock. Not a bang, not a scream, but a quiet, definitive click. I wasn't sure if it was my heart or the damn door that shattered. In the aftermath, there were no crowds, no grand declarations. Just me, amidst the wreckage of our home, trying to reconcile the taste of victory with the crushing hollowness of defeat. I'd won, hadn't I? Yet, all that lingered was the bitter taste of ash on my tongue. Did I make her laugh in the end? I couldn't bring myself to ask the interns or the cocktail guys. Didn't matter. Instead of the strong, independent woman I'd resented, I saw Sarah as she must have felt. Lonely, adrift, chasing a reflection she couldn't find. And the sickening realization hit I'd helped create that. They say revenge is best served cold. What they don't mention is that while it burns your enemy, the flames lick you too. Our love, what was left of it, had curdled into something poisonous. I looked around at the broken pieces, the house that once hummed with life, and knew the truth. We were both losers in this stupid, destructive game. The gym clock blinked in the darkness, 6:15 a.m. It wasn't a punishment anymore. This relentless sweat, the sting of muscles pushed to limit. It was a routine, just another brick in the wall I was carefully rebuilding. The bar scene faded into a hazy memory, along with the bitter taste of too many cheap whiskeys. Alex was a decent enough guy, but those boozy nights had left me hollow. Now the only guy the first could tolerate was the slightly fitter, more jaded version staring back at me in the locker room mirror. Change wasn't dramatic, didn't come with a flash of inspiration or a triumphant soundtrack. It was the slow stuff. Bins of wilted vegetables dumped out, a repaired leaky faucet that had nagged at me for months, the stack of unread books finally cracked open instead of mindlessly scrolling through my phone. One afternoon amidst the urban bustle I saw her. Not on purpose, just a flicker of that familiar blonde hair disappearing into a crowd. Sarah looked thinner, less vibrant. Seeing her no longer sent a jolt through me, but a faint echo of sadness. I didn't know where she was living, who she was laughing with. Frankly, I didn't want to. The rain started that evening, a relentless drizzle. Some old part of me would have found a perverse comfort in its melancholy, a soundtrack for my self-pity. Instead, I pulled on a worn jacket and headed out. Each step washed away another layer of resentment. My anger hadn't vanished, but it had transformed, weathered into something more like understanding. Betrayal was a wound that festered if you fed it, and I was done feeding it. I wasn't looking for some cheesy Hollywood ending, a tearful reunion on a park bench. Hell, I wasn't sure what the ending was supposed to be. But there was a quiet strength in moving on, in refusing to stay trapped in a cycle of pain. The rain soaked through me as I walked, chilling but oddly invigorating. We'd both lost, both made choices that destroyed what we'd built. But there was a bitter kind of victory in finally letting go, in walking away from the wreckage, in knowing that there was more to life and to myself than being a player in a game I never won. I recently discovered that my wife is having an emotional affair, and there might be a physical aspect to it too. The guy involved has been a long-term friend who's been around since before I came into the picture. We've been married for 20 years, no children together, but she has grown-up kids from a previous marriage. Our intimate life took a hit about 5 years ago when she lost interest, making it clear that it was a chore. We grew apart. A couple of months ago, I realized I couldn't continue like that, so I started working on our relationship and our improved significantly. However, she dropped a bombshell saying she's no longer romantically or solely in love with me. At the same time, I discovered she was messaging and spending time with this friend. I confronted her and she admitted to going out for drinks with him, seeming to think it wasn't wrong. She told me he got kicked out by his wife and asked her to move in with him. She's uncertain about what to do and needs time to think. I took some time to process this and we've had multiple conversations. I love her and believe we can have a happy future. But I can't continue living like this. She needs to decide, but it seems like she's torn between her head and her heart. She knows I'm a loving husband and we have a good life together, but she's finding excitement in the affair. She talks about long-term plans like gardening, but I can't help but wonder if she'll be here to see them through. She understands the stress this uncertainty is causing me, and that she needs to decide soon, but she's reluctant. I've made it clear that I won't accept this double life, and if she can't choose, I'll do it for her because our life together should mean more to her. Right now, it's a strange half-life where she kisses me goodnight but spends her days, presumably, with him. Thanks for reading. It felt good to get my thoughts out. I'm going to make a decision soon. I have to. My own mental health has been suffering for a long time, and this situation has only made it worse. On a positive note, it forced me to confront my own issues and realize that I couldn't handle them alone. I've reached out for help. I had an epiphany yesterday when I hit rock bottom, and my first thought was still about how this would affect her. But at this point in my life, my top priority is me, not us and not her. The last 2 years have been challenging, and I admit I've been neglectful. Instead of addressing that with me and suggesting we find our closeness again, I chose to have an affair. If our marriage ends as a result, that's on her. I hadn't heard of terms like 180 and pygmy dance until I found this website a couple of days ago. I never thought I'd need to. I never would have believed she was capable of this, hence the title of this thread. The issue for her is that she knows I'm steady and reliable, and she values the security of that. She also loves our home, cats, garden, basically the whole package. But her affair partner is offering her fun and excitement even though she knows he's unreliable, and the house he's in is not great. I have a question about the 180. I understand that it's about showing you're moving forward, focusing on self-improvement, and becoming a better person. However, during this time, doesn't it seem like you're indirectly accepting the affair by allowing it to continue? This seems to conflict with most of the advice on this thread, which suggests confronting the wayward spouse and putting her in a position where she needs to make a decision promptly. I apologize if this sounds confused, but I am indeed feeling that way right now. On the positive side, I've seen a doctor and started taking antidepressants. I also have a therapy assessment booked for tomorrow to help me cope with my depression, which has been a hidden problem in my life for the past couple of years. I'm also getting my hair colored this week, something I used to enjoy but stopped because my spouse didn't like it. Doing it now feels rebellious, but I want to, so I'm going for it regardless of what anyone, including my WW, thinks. It should raise a few eyebrows when I return to work next week. I'm incredibly grateful for this website, especially the tactical primer and the 180. It's astonishing how accurate and helpful that information has been for me in the short time since D-Day. If any newcomers are reading this and haven't checked out those articles yet, I strongly urge you to do so, even if you're not ready to start the 180 method. This morning, my wayward spouse initiated a conversation about our marriage, which is a first because I've been the one starting all previous discussions. She also admitted that she's unsure and flip-flopping about her decision. I shared my pain and hurt caused by her actions, and for the first time, she got upset because of the pain she's caused me. We had an honest discussion about the future of our marriage, and although no decision has been made, it was clear that my words were making an impact. She also mentioned noticing a change in my attitude since D-Day, which is contributing to her thinking. So we don't know if this will lead to reconciliation or divorce, but for now we're still communicating and there's still hope. I have to admit that some parts of the 180 are quite liberating and feel really good. I've booked myself a theater trip next weekend to see a show I really want to see. In the past, I would have asked my wayward spouse, and if she didn't want to go, I probably wouldn't have gone either. But this time I didn't ask. This experience has made it clear that one of the changes I'll be making if we reconcile is that I won't hold back from doing something just because she doesn't want to. I'll decide to do something, and if she wants to join, that's fine. If not, I won't miss out just because I used to put her feelings first. This would be a significant shift in our marriage dynamics, and if she doesn't like it, well, tough. She'll need to remember that her actions caused the upheaval in our marriage and changed who I am and how I approach life. If she had any suspicions that our relationship dynamics were changing before, it's now crystal clear to her. She was quite shocked and confused when she found out I was going to the theater without consulting her first. Then this morning, she complained that she never knows when I'll be home during the working day. I usually work from 8 to 4, but as I have a mix of office and work from home days, I just tell her I'll be home around lunchtime. She found this unpredictability unsettling and didn't like my new, less predictable schedule, even though she's complained before about me being too predictable. Hi there. Thanks for your best wishes. Over the weekend I went to the theater, and while the show was a bit cheesy and not fantastic, it felt amazing to get out and have some fun. I've always loved live theater and shows, and interestingly, I used to work at that exact theater for a few years, which was quite a thrill. One small change to the plans was that my wayward spouse wanted to go with me, so I agreed, and surprisingly, we had a very good time together. She's been more attentive and affectionate lately, and seems to be making an effort to bring us closer. We appear to have entered a new phase where she has either ended the affair, or she has escalated her lying to a significant extent. Naturally, I want to believe the former but remain cautious about the latter. For now, I'm waiting to see how this unfolds, but in a strange way, I feel relieved that we've reached a tipping point. Either she's genuinely trying to work things out for reconciliation, or I'll discover she's been lying extensively, which in my mind would be a line I won't accept and I'd be ready to proceed with divorce. She's definitely making sure I know where she is at all times, and her actions seem to support this. However, I don't fully trust her, and it'll take a long time to rebuild that trust. She's also initiating more physical contact, hugs, kisses, and touches more than before. Personally, I'm feeling much calmer, which I attribute to a combination of medication, having more time to process my thoughts since D-Day, and the improved atmosphere between my WS and me. Additionally, I've been working on my health. I developed an overeating disorder over the past 2 years and gained a significant amount of weight. Over the last 4 months, I've been controlling my diet and lost some weight, which feels great. I've even had to buy new clothes. However, one major hurdle remains. She doesn't seem to believe she's done something profoundly wrong and doesn't want to talk about it. It's as if she's denying it happened in her own head, and discussing it would make it too real. She also doesn't grasp the hurt. I understand we're different, and she wouldn't feel the same way. But I need her to comprehend how deeply I've been affected. I've printed an article from this website about the tears of the betrayed spouse, and plan to read it with her at the right moment, because that article precisely describes how I've felt. It's still early days here, so I don't know where this will ultimately lead or even exactly where I want it to go at the moment. But I'll keep moving forward and see how things unfold. I can't believe she might try to love bomb me, But as the title of this video suggests, I have to admit that all of you have been right on target so far. I'll mentally prepare myself in case she attempts that. This morning, I focused on practical matters like sorting out my council tax and other financial stuff. Since I don't have a forwarding address for her, they had to call her to get the information. So she already knows that I'm taking steps to organize my finances. In the afternoon, I spent time with a friend just talking. She's been through a divorce, so she understands what I'm going through. Tomorrow I have another friend coming over to help me rearrange furniture, change the use of some rooms, and essentially help me claim the space, as he put it. My wayward spouse is coming over on Saturday morning to take away the chickens we kept in the back garden, and I don't want to be responsible for them. So I'm already preparing myself for that encounter. I'm completely exhausted tonight as I've had a very busy yet productive day. This morning, I received a message from my wayward spouse saying she wanted to collect the double bed on Saturday when she comes to collect the chickens. I've already disassembled the bed and placed it by the door, ready for her. I know this might seem overly generous, but there's a purpose behind it. I've completely reclaimed the house. I moved my belongings into the larger bedroom, rearranged the furniture, even replaced the canvas wall hanging she liked with a framed football shirt. I also bought new bedding. There's nothing left in the room to indicate she ever lived here. She had also left a lot of her stuff lying around the house and in the bathrooms. I decided that these things were an MY way, so I boxed them up and added them to the pile of chicken-related items she's collecting. I mostly work from home, and for the past 3 years my office has been in a garden building we have. Today, I moved my office back into my old bedroom in the house and turned the garden building back into a gym, its original purpose. Basically, I've changed every room in the house in some way, even if it was just rearranging the furniture to give the rooms a different feel. I needed to do this for myself to make the house feel different. I suspect she's going to be in for a shock when she realizes how much I've changed everything in less than 48 hours since she left. She probably won't be expecting that, but hopefully it shows her that I accept her decision and am moving on with my life. Today, WS showed up with her son and a friend to collect the chickens and the bed. I remained cool, calm, and collected throughout, had my game face on. Then after she left, I got a bit emotional and had a brief cry. But she will never see me like that again. Surprisingly, it was her who seemed emotional and found the experience difficult. She walked through the house and I hung back, overhearing her exclaim "bloody hell" when she realized everything had changed. She seemed to notice every detail, even the new bedding and the football shirt that replaced her canvas on the bedroom wall. I think a heavy dose of reality hit her at that moment. I handed her unopened mail, and she tried several times to engage in conversation, but I refused to talk about anything other than the stuff she was collecting. I made it clear I wouldn't discuss anything else until she comes to get the rest of her clothes, etc. Just before she left, she tried to kiss me. I backed off, put my hand up, and made it clear it was not happening. We had a quick peck on the cheek and a brief hug to say goodbye right before she moved out, and as far as I'm concerned, that was it. There's no reason for her to touch me or try to kiss me again. I'm done with that. Her choices and her actions have caused this situation, not mine, and she needs to understand that reality. I have 3 fantastic friends who have really stepped up to support me. They're giving me some tough love at the moment, but I appreciate it. I was under strict orders to WhatsApp 2 of them when she had gone, and the third, who doesn't do social media, is coming over later today to see how things went this morning. My support network has been in full swing today. 2 friends came over, and the third was on the phone with me for over an hour. I'm incredibly grateful for their support. I was talking to my friend who's been through a divorce and has known both me and my wayward spouse for many years. I was telling her about how WS behaved this morning when she came to collect her things. She got emotional and seemed overwhelmed, and she couldn't wait to leave. My friend believes that WS expected to arrive this morning and find that nothing had changed in the house, and that I would be an emotional wreck in the corner. Instead, WS encountered a calm and confident Detroit spouse who had completely rearranged the house and physically distanced himself from her attempts at affection. My friend thinks WS has suddenly realized that she's lost control of the situation and me, and that I've taken back power and control over my own life. Does make sense. Despite the pain WS is causing me, I did feel some sympathy for her this morning because the whole experience seemed to upset her so much. I guess that says more about me as a person than it does about her. I can understand that it must have been shocking for her to see the house she's lived in for many years suddenly changed, but she's made her decision and now needs to live with the consequences. Our friend also believes that it won't be long before WS realizes she's made a huge mistake and wants to talk about moving back in. Unfortunately, she went through a similar experience with her own WS a few years ago. I need to mentally prepare myself for that possibility, because right now I'm not ready to deal with that emotion. A couple of months ago, I was mentally prepared for her to leave, realize her mistake, and I might have considered taking her back, but I'm no longer where I was 2 months ago and I can't even contemplate moving toward reconciliation anymore. I told her at the beginning of this process that there would come a point when I'd had enough and the pain would be too great to continue. Her comments this week actually moving out, and admitting that she knew a month ago but didn't tell me because of my mental health problems have pushed me past that point. I can't understand how she could have known all that time and still be affectionate to me each day, making me believe she wanted reconciliation. How could she kiss me, hold me, and talk to me the way she did, all the while knowing she had decided to leave? I truly feel like I've been living with a stranger. I need advice. I've been communicating with my wayward spouse via WhatsApp to arrange when she'll come to collect more of her belongings, and we've also started the divorce process. I've received the divorce form and will fill it out this week. Then I just need her to countersign it. The divorce process in the UK is more straightforward when you submit a joint application, partly because we don't have at-fault divorces anymore. However, some of her communications have been a bit strange and it seems like the speed of the process is upsetting and overwhelming her. I'm naturally an organized and practical person who, once decisions are made, gets things done as soon as possible. I'm now applying the same principles to the divorce, hence wanting her things gone and wanting to get the divorce process and financial settlement underway, even though it still takes at least 7 months even if both parties agree. I understand that she's lost control of the situation, but I don't understand why that should matter anymore. She's getting what she wanted, which is to live with her affair partner, so why should it be a problem that I'm being practical and giving her what she needs, namely a divorce? Is she getting upset because I'm coping so well and not falling apart emotionally? But again, why should that matter? She left to live with AP, and if there are still any caring feelings left for me, shouldn't she be happy that I'm coping and handling things calmly and practically? I realize she might be concerned about the divorce process becoming contentious. Her first divorce was apparently very acrimonious and her ex-husband still can't be civil to her even after all these years. They rarely communicate, but occasionally they have to because of their children. However, I'm not him. I've assured her several times over the last 2 months that, although this is not what I wanted if we end up getting divorced, I want it to be calm and amicable. There's no need for it to be argumentative. The decision has been made and the best outcome for both of us is to work through the process and then go our separate ways. She told me last week that she's only told 2 friends about our situation. I visited one of them today to return a spare key to our house, and it's clear that even though she's a friend to WS, she thinks WS has lost her way and doesn't approve of her actions at all. I'm totally confused. OMG, this morning was incredibly tough. WS came to the property with a van to collect more of her belongings, and today felt much more difficult than Saturday when she first came back. I think maybe I was too numb on Saturday to feel much, but now after a week of this situation it hit me harder. On Saturday, she only took things that were clearly her own possessions and the chickens, which I didn't want. This morning we had to deal with joint possessions like kitchen appliances, saucepans, and other things that, in my mind, are part of our marriage and that we both bought and used together. That felt much harder than her taking her own things. Looking back, I should have realized it would be different, but I didn't. However, I managed to hold it together until she left, and then I got upset. She also wanted to chit-chat about her week, but I just couldn't engage. I only discussed the things she was taking, remaining polite but uninterested. She was quite unprepared and didn't bring nearly enough boxes or space on the van for all the things she said she wanted to take today. So, many items will need to be collected on at least one more visit. It seemed like she got overwhelmed and just wanted to leave, which she did. We've agreed that I'll let her know which morning or afternoon I'm available next week for her to collect more belongings. I also told her that on that day, I want us to complete the divorce form so it can be sent off. It was an extremely tough morning, but I spent an hour on the phone with a friend afterward, and another friend is coming over this evening to see how it went and give me someone to talk to. Of course, I also have all of you good people here. And I'm very thankful I found this website because it has helped me a lot. Hearing your thoughts, knowing that others have survived similar situations, and receiving your advice has helped me prepare for what WS might do next. You've always been right, and I'm truly grateful to all of you. Despite the pain, I'm really enjoying this time to myself. I'm staying busy and I love the changes I've made. Making decisions that only consider myself is a new and liberating experience, and it feels good. On a positive note, I had a job interview yesterday for a promotion I've been working towards for a long time, and I got the job. I'll start my new role on July 1st. I've arranged for WS to come around next Thursday to collect more belongings, but it seems she's not in a rush to take everything. She mainly wants to retrieve her pottery and some glassware. I don't feel that these repeated visits are helping me, so I've left the delicate items for her to pack, and today I spent 7 hours packing everything else. Her books, CDs, DVDs, various other possessions, bedding that her family used when they stayed with us, and plenty of spare towels, sheets, and bedding that I'd rather see gone. I've even cleared out the whole loft space and made sure all her things are ready for collection. Everything is neatly boxed or bagged, making it easy for her to collect. Once this stuff is gone, there will be nothing left in the house for her to retrieve. I know she wants some items from the garden, but I'll probably arrange to be elsewhere when she comes for those. While sorting out the spare bedding, I couldn't help but smile at the thought of her family visiting her new property. She's always complained about not seeing her grandchildren enough, but they used to visit quite regularly. We live in a seaside town, and it's just a 10-minute walk to the beach, which the kids love. I'm not sure how often they'll want to visit the new house, which is clearly not as appealing, being far inland and miles away from the beach. Also, while packing her books, I stumbled upon her diaries from the last 3 years. I took a moment to read about 2022 over a coffee, and unsurprisingly, they were spending time together much earlier than she had led me to believe. WS made me think the affair started around the end of November, but according to her diary, the AP video called her while he was on holiday in Crete, presumably with his wife, in May of the previous year. They even went out for drinks together in June. So this has been going on for a whole year before she decided to leave. It makes me wonder if she would have ever told me about it if I hadn't found out and put her in a position where she had to make a decision. I had made it clear that I would only consider moving towards reconciliation if she went no contact with the AP, something she couldn't bring herself to do. I had a great night's sleep last night in my brand new double bed. As I mentioned in an earlier post, WS took the double bed with her when she moved out. So now she and AP are sleeping in an old bed that I used to share with my WS. Meanwhile, I have a new super comfy double bed all to myself. And no one but me will use it unless I decide they're worth my time, and allow them into my personal space. The changes in the house are still happening at a furious pace. In addition to new bedding, I've bought new towels and various other items, just things to make the house feel different to me. I've also discovered the therapeutic benefits of gardening. Previously, WS did all the gardening as it was her passion. But yesterday I spent part of my lunch hour cutting back and tidying some of the plants. It was surprisingly satisfying because the garden looked tidier and more orderly when I had finished. I'm not sure how WS will react when she sees it, but it's no longer up to her. When she lived here, I let her tend the garden how she wanted. Now that I live here, I'll tend the garden how I want. I'm also a bit of a watch collector, and have bought myself a new watch to congratulate myself on my promotion. It has been dispatched and I should receive it tomorrow, which is very exciting. I know it's very early days, but at the moment I do feel more relaxed in the house. I'm not constantly wondering what she's going to be grumpy or complain about next. I'm starting to think that despite my efforts to preserve the marriage, this could work out as the better option for me after all. If she stays with AP, then I have the chance to write myself a new chapter. If she wants to discuss reconciliation, I'll have much healthier boundaries and requirements before. Hey folks, welcome back to my channel Relationship Haven. I hope you're all having a great day or evening wherever you are. In today's story, Opie found out his wife cheated on him with his own younger brother, then got pregnant. Talk about absolute betrayal of your spouse. Now the wife has been served with divorce papers and is begging for mercy after she got disowned by her entire family for her actions, and will lose custody of her kids. Now let's get into today's story. I have been married to my wife for 15 years. I also have a son. My family consists of my mom, dad, sister, and younger brother. Last year I found my wife crying in our bedroom. I consoled her and she told me she was pregnant. I was elated and explained to her that it was great news. The color of her face then changed and she told me it is and left the room. It was weird. During that time I also found out that she spent an excessive amount of time on the phone. I took care of her alone and did the cooking and cleaning because the COVID situation was high, so no one could come in here. She gave birth to a healthy baby girl who looked just like her, adorable. Fast forward to last month and this month. My brother used to frequently visit us, which I thought was fine until it became every day. But hey, he's my baby brother. This month we went to our parents to stay there for 2 weeks. I saw my wife getting awkwardly close to my brother. I was the primary breadwinner of both families. My father owned a few shops which were under my direct control. I am an investment banker and apart from this we also have several houses that we rent out. So I stayed busy most of the time, but whenever I came home I saw my wife and brother spending time together, which was weird considering she was close to my sister before. I also noticed my sister spending more time with me. I got the sense something was up and that my sister wanted to tell me something. I asked her several times but she assured me everything was all right. Last week my father asked me to spend some time with him fishing, just me and him. I agreed, during which he told me stories about fish and how he spent his time with his father here. He went on to praise me about how good a son I was and that he was proud of me. I sensed there was a bigger picture. He also told me that he's disappointed in my brother because he has no goals set. He doesn't work, does pot, smokes and is an alcohol addict. My father wasn't very close to my younger brother but my mom was. When we were leaving he told me he has to go somewhere, then gave me the fishing kit and a small piece of paper. When I opened it my entire world turned upside down. It was a DNA test. I'm not the father to my daughter. I rushed to my home, the family home, everyone was there, and confronted my wife and brother. They both accepted it and apologized to me, telling me it was a mistake. I further found out that it's been going on for a year, and they both love each other. My wife consoled me by saying that she can't change what happened, and she will always be sorry for me. I'm a perfect husband, father, son, but I couldn't be a good lover because I spent excessive time outside. I took her on vacation twice a year, date nights once or twice a month, and we got intimate 2 or 3 times a week. My sister chimed in and told me she knew but couldn't bring herself to tell me. Hearing the commotion, my mom came in with the baby. She explained to me that she can't change the outcome. My wife and brother already have a baby together and that my son grew attached to it. I should accept it and move on. I was the older brother and I should forgive them. I called her out and told her how can my own family betray me like that. I told my wife I don't need a wife for whom I have to compete with other men despite her being my wife. I then told her she will get the divorce papers and told my backstabbing brother that I always stood up for him and now he's the one to backstab me. My phone was blowing up. My father told me he is with me but he can't say anything openly due to my mother. He told me that he's sorry. He told me he's sorry for being a bad father, and said my mom knew about the affair but didn't speak about it. I told him I don't care. I don't need a family that stabs me in the back and he can gladly cut me off from the family after the divorce. I haven't told her family yet. My soon-to-be ex-wife calls me every day 100+ times and says my son misses me. My brother hasn't reached out to me yet. My sister apologized to me telling me she should have but she couldn't be a good sister, and that I am her role model. She is always proud to have me. I haven't replied to them at all. My mother called me to tell me we all make mistakes and we can be a family again if I decide to forgive. She hinted that my children need a father figure and if I can't be there, there's my brother to take care of my family. She then told me the court won't give me custody, and if she stands up for them things might go wrong for me. That infuriated me and I blocked her. I haven't talked to any of them in the past 2 days. Divorce can be expensive here but it is what it is. I haven't told anyone about this, haven't slept well and I can't eat anything. I feel like I've lost my reason to live. In just a week I've lost everything. My family, my wife and kids, my dignity, everything. I feel like dying because there is no purpose to my life, at least now. I talked to the lawyer. The lawyer said I'd have to pay spousal support. Getting primary custody will be hard. Again, divorce here is expensive. I'm looking at around $900 a month as spousal support for her and our daughter and 50-50 custody of my son and half the assets. I also noticed I wrote DNA test. Sorry, it was a paternity test of my daughter and brother and it confirmed it 99%. Update. This is a small update on my situation. I thought things would be better with time, but it instead turned worse. I left the house after finding out and got my finances in order, met lawyers and started divorce proceedings. I got the papers this Friday. My wife came over and we had a talk. She told me she doesn't want a divorce for our son. She apologizes and acknowledged this is her fault. I told her I want a divorce regardless and gave her the papers. She had the audacity to initiate sex like, oh, I was going to give in. I told her to leave after that. This Saturday, my sister who lives in the Netherlands and came here for vacation called me, and we had a talk. She apologized on her part. She was put in a conflicted position as our mom begged her not to tell me. She told me our mom was worried about my health and how I would react. Also that my younger brother coerced my mom into doing this. Things got a little clearer after that, but regardless, it doesn't make me feel any better. I also met my son and spent the day with him on Saturday, taking him to a gaming zone that's really popular here. I told him what I planned. He tells me he knows. My mom weeps every day and my wife says she's just lost. My sister and I already agreed we are taking our names off from the family, and we do not want any of the inheritance. I'm going to cut off myself from the family and move to a different country. My sister already told me she can help if I choose to move to the Netherlands. That might be my destination now after a year of divorce. It isn't easy. The days are long and hard, especially when you think about the incident. I've lost count of how many times I've thrown up. My blood pressure is tremendously low as well as my sugar levels. Yesterday afternoon my father called and told me my mom was in the hospital. She suffered a bad stroke and collapsed at the table during lunch. Her condition isn't very great. Dad told me she wants to meet me and the doctor told us to pray. Her condition isn't good enough to get her discharged. My wife is handling everything for now. My brother is just visiting for a few hours and then leaving. My newborn daughter is with my wife in the hospital along with my son and dad. My dad told me this might be it. He wants me to visit. I've told my sister. She's conflicted about it. If I'm being honest, part of me wants to visit her, but the majority part doesn't. She's my mother no matter what, but she chose to betray me. She chose to hurt me. She chose to support my wife instead of me. It wasn't the cheating that was bothering me. It wasn't that my wife slept with my brother and chose him over me. It was all the betrayals that my family did. It was that everyone knew and no one chose to tell me. It was that my own mother prioritized her other son and threatened to cut me off from the family. Now suddenly she's in the hospital and she wants to see me. Many of my relatives visited my mom in the hospital. Word of my wife's affair got out to a few close relatives. My favorite uncle absolutely destroyed her right in the hospital by calling her and my brother the most vile things. It took my teenage son to get my uncle into his senses and regain calmness. I've talked to a few friends. They're advising me to move on, move to another country and settle down with someone else. I don't know anything. I don't have any plans because right now I just can't. I can't plan anything. I've talked to my lawyer too. He told me I can get my share of the inheritance if my mother didn't create a will. I can't get it if I resign my inheritance or if she cuts me off. Nothing of that sort happened. I don't have any interest in the inheritance, money or family. I just want my son so I can escape this godforsaken family and just be sane. As for the paternity, it's going to be tougher than the divorce itself. Cheating isn't a deal breaker or trump card in most countries, but being a stay-at-home mom is and can destroy you in many ways. However, if I can leave my inheritance share, it might give me an upper hand and I might not have to pay spousal support. It all depends on mutual agreement. I found out I can also lodge a complaint in my country against an affair partner, which in this case is my brother. As my son is a minor, I can also get a restraining order against my wife and my brother for my son because of the use of alcohol. Drugs is frowned upon in my country, so I do have some hope, but currently I'm torn between my mother's condition. I can't believe what 3 weeks can do to you. It honestly is the lowest point of my life. The only thing that's holding me back is my son. Final update. I have a lot to say. I'm currently feeling nauseous. My hands are shaking as I type this out. I have a lot to say, but I can't. Today's Sunday, a good day. Today's the day my marriage finally ended. Our divorce was finalized today at the first hour, ending after nearly 16 years together. There are mixed feelings inside me. Part of me is glad and part of me is down. I love that woman. She was the second love of my life. She destroyed me. I have nothing to say. To give you an update, our custody arrangement is something like this. I'm the legal guardian of my son until he's 20. She's the legal guardian of our daughter until she reaches puberty. After that, until her marriage, I'm her legal guardian. My daughter will spend these few years with her as she's really just 10 months old, but I can visit her whenever I want to. In my country, a birth certificate is out after a child is a year old, so I have yet to sign for it, and I will sign. She is my daughter. I'll have to pay spousal support to her for 3 years. Child support will be provided until my kids are 18. I'm looking at 20% of my income, or around $1,000 if I put it out correctly altogether. Point of reference, we are from Asia, and $1,000 is worth a lot here. I don't have to pay alimony, just the amount known as dinar. I didn't have to split assets as infidelity is a big factor here, but I offered her one of my apartments not for her but for my daughter. I want my kids to grow up in a nice environment, and although what she did was wrong, I can't put them in danger, which is why I agreed to transfer one of my apartments to her name so at the very least they won't have to worry about housing. Her side of the family disowned her completely, so she will be living all alone, but her mom will be reaching out, and her sisters will help her out in taking care of my daughter. My ex-wife talked to me after our divorce. I could clearly see she didn't sleep. She thanked me for all these years together, asked my forgiveness, and this time I told her I did. We both wished each other the best of luck and ended things. I know she was sad and heartbroken, I was too. It was probably for the best. I resigned from my job. With the amount of property my mom inherited, the job wasn't necessary in the first place. I'm going to take a few months off now. When I signed the finalized papers, it was as if a huge burden just left my body. I'll be seeing my mom in a few hours and spend the night at my house. I remember I told you that I won't try dating and my youth has passed. I'm turning 40 this year. Normally, 40 is a time when you begin to plan for your retirement and pave the roads for your kids, the new generation. But it feels like I'm going to restart at 40. I met a cousin of one of my friends on New Year's. She's 29. I was quite impressed with her. She's just ideal. Turns out, she was the therapist I was looking for all along, and I can express it. I saw her again on January 14th at a festive. It ended up with us drunk and in bed. I'm not proud of that. I still feel guilty about it. We became friends. I found out she was going to get engaged, but her boyfriend died. It took 7 years for her to let go of grief. She tried dating in between, but it wasn't good. My wife knows of her. I don't know how she feels about her. We haven't slept or communicated about us recently. I never even asked her how she felt. It's all a mess. It's been 4 months, and within this time period, a lot has changed. My life changed. My son grew up and I'm proud of him. I mentioned before I originally had plans to visit the Netherlands, but I'm ditching it. This is the place where I was born. My forefathers were born and buried. My legacy lies here. I want my sons and their sons to know about their history and legacy, and I certainly don't see how I can achieve that in the Netherlands. My girlfriend I was talking about asked to visit, but I declined her offer. Tonight it's just going to be me. I bought some Jack Daniels. I don't know what lies ahead down the road. I don't feel better or worse. I'm indifferent. I'm just nauseous and I want a good sleep. I wish it was all a dream and I could forget it. I don't know if I will ever have a good relationship with my brother again, or my mom or dad, or even my ex-wife. Things will never be the same again. I respect her as the mother of my kids. I will try and be there for her. My ex-father-in-law reached out to me. He told me he was sorry he couldn't be a good father to ensure their daughter's upbringing. Few things in life are meant to be that way. We spend time, money, and effort, and at the end it isn't even our decision or choice that matters. Such are the sacrifices of both men and women. I admire people. I admire you guys who went through this traumatic period of life. Up until yesterday, there was a constant thought in my head if I made the right decision to divorce. That thought is still in my head. I don't know if I made the right choice. I don't know if I'll ever get over this betrayal. I don't know if I can start over, but for tonight it's me. My son is with my mom. He will be staying there for the night. This is it, folks. This is it. Cheers to the road ahead. Thank you all. OP. I'm sorry this happened to you. Take some time to analyze your feelings. At the end of the day, she would not have stopped cheating even if she told you she had. You were kind and generous, and even your ex-wife saw that. In 1 year from now, your pain will be far less. In 2 years, you will be enjoying your family in whatever form that takes, just you and your son or you and a new family. Infidelity never works. It's a crime of entitlement, a lack of empathy, and involves putting their own wants over their family's needs. Unfaithful people make crappy partners. Gets better. Take good care of yourself. Let's see what the comments have to say about the situation. Whenever you doubt your decision to divorce, just remember that she told you, your parents, and sister that you're an abuser. She traumatized your son with her infidelity. Your son may have trust issues in future relationships. Your wife did that to him. She is also mainly responsible for your relationship with your family being destroyed, though your parents and sister were also at major fault for supporting them. None of this would have happened if they never even had an affair. Lastly, she brought an innocent child into this mess through her infidelity. Here's another comment. Sucks, man, but you are in the prime of your life. You may think you're old at 40, but at 40, so many people have just started their lives and have gone on to live very fulfilling and happy lives. Start going to the gym, get into the best shape of your life, pick up some hobbies, and do whatever makes you happy. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's story. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's story. If there's a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me.